My name is Noah, and I am 35. I remember that morning with a clarity I didn't expect. Emily stood in the kitchen. Babe, Mom's sick. I need to go check on her for a few days. Her mother lived in Vermont, a long drive away. We'd been married 3 years, and I didn't push. I kissed her on the forehead, told her to call when she arrived, and watched her leave with a small overnight bag. The house felt ordinary. I made coffee and tried to go. The first night, there were a few short messages. The second day, she said she was taking her mom to the doctor and would be busy. I told her to focus on family and went on with my routine. Then a photo appeared in my gallery, one of those automatic uploads from a shared account. She was at the ocean, sunglasses, a bright towel, a drink. No coat, no older woman. Just sun and blue water. At first I thought it might be old. I checked the timestamp. That same morning, there was a reflection in her sunglasses, enough to show another person nearby. I didn't call. I opened our shared iCloud and started scrolling. Beach after beach, a smile beside a pool, a hand on her back, a picture in a hotel doorway. The images were casual and careless. Each one was marked with dates that matched the charges on her card. I saved them into a folder and watched the number climb. 112 photos. I checked our banking app. Her card showed hotel, meals, and a rental car. The charges matched the images. I called the bank and reported our card stolen. The operator walked me through it, and I answered in a voice steadier than I felt. The bank disabled the card within minutes. I didn't tell her. Her texts multiplied. Hey, my card isn't working, followed by maybe it's the bank. Panic crept in. She called once, twice, then kept texting. I read each one and waited. The anxious thread that had pulsed through me earlier quieted into something else, sharp and decisive. That evening she sent a message saying her mother seemed better and she might stay. I wrote back, take your time. Inside, however, I was arranging facts. I gathered receipts, timestamps, and screenshots, laying them out on the screen. Each piece fit the next until the story they told had no gaps. I named the folder and closed the laptop. Sleep came slower than before, but when it arrived, it felt steadier. When she finally called late that night, I let it go to voicemail. I wasn't ready to speak. The phone felt heavy with what it carried: messages, proof, the potential to undo a lie. Lying is often small and easy. What surprised me was how simple almost everything looked in the photos, how effortless it seemed for her to arrange a false obligation and step away from it. I thought about how truth, when gathered and organized, has a quiet strength. It doesn't need yelling. It simply fits together. I woke the next day with a plan, not to punish but to make what was true visible. For the first time in a long while, I slept without the tight knot that used to live in my chest. There was a new clarity. The rest would follow from the evidence. The next morning started with silence, the kind that fills the house when something's already gone wrong, but you can't quite name what it is yet. Then my phone buzzed. Hey, my card isn't working. Can you check? I didn't respond. A few minutes later, maybe the bank system is down? Please answer. Her tone shifted fast, from calm to nervous. I could almost hear the tremor behind the words. By the evening, the messages got longer. Noah, please don't do this. My family can't afford this trip right now. I'll explain everything. Just answer me. That line, asterisk my family can't afford this trip asterisk, told me all I needed to know. She hadn't just lied to me. She dragged her parents into it too. I sat down at the kitchen table, opened my laptop, and attached the photo folder I'd made the night before. I typed a short message, nothing dramatic, nothing cruel. Thought you'd like to see how well Emily's taking care of her sick mother. I sent it to her parents, her sister, and her brother-in-law. Then I closed the lid and went outside for a walk. The air felt cold, crisp, cleaner somehow. By the time I came back, my phone was lighting up like fireworks. Missed calls, voicemails, texts. Her dad called 20 times. Her mom texted, "What is this, Noah?" Her sister left 2 crying voicemails. I didn't answer a single one. That night, Emily called 16 times in a row. I let every call die out. Finally, one message came through that made me pause. You ruined me, Noah. My family thinks I'm a monster. Please, just let me explain. But explain what? That her sick mother was actually a week-long vacation with another man? That she used our joint card for her getaway? No explanation could fix that. For the first time in 3 years, I felt calm. Not happy, not proud, just done. 2 days later, she came home. The front door creaked open, and there she was, suitcase in hand, makeup smudged, eyes tired. She stood in the doorway, staring at me like I was a stranger. Why would you do this to me? She said. Her voice cracked at the edges. I looked at her for a long moment before answering. Because you lied to me, I said quietly. And you deserve to feel what betrayal feels like. She tried to talk her way out of it. Said the guy was just a friend. Said the beach was just a stop along the way. Said she was confused. Every word felt lighter than the last, Like even she didn't believe them anymore. I didn't argue. I didn't shout. I just started packing her things. One suitcase, one duffel, some folded clothes. I placed them all by the front door. She followed me, crying softly now. Please, Noah, I messed up. I'll fix this. I'll talk to my parents. Don't end it like this. I looked at her once more. You said your mom was sick, I said. Now you can stay with her. Then I closed the door. Her muffled crying faded as her car started. The house fell silent again, but this time, it wasn't empty. It felt lighter. That night, I sat on the couch, phone face down, the hum of the refrigerator the only sound in the room. For the first time in a long time, the silence didn't feel lonely. It felt peaceful, but peace doesn't always last. I didn't know it then, but Emily wasn't going to walk away quietly. Her revenge was already taking shape, and she was about to make sure I'd regret ever exposing the truth. The day after I asked Emily to leave, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. At first, I thought it was her again. But when I saw the names, I realized it was her family, and they weren't calling to apologize. Her father left a voicemail, his tone sharp and shaking with anger. You humiliated my daughter, Noah. Whatever happened between you two should have stayed private. Her sister texted, You're evil. She was under stress. You've ruined her life. I stared at the screen for a long time, trying to understand how the truth had turned against me. Then it clicked. Emily had already started spinning her story. By the weekend, I noticed mutual friends quietly unfollowing me on social media. One of them, Jake, even messaged me. Man, posting fake stuff about your wife? That's low. That line made me freeze. I hadn't posted anything. Not a word. Not a photo. She'd told them I edited the pictures, that I was jealous, controlling, and couldn't handle her being close to other people. Classic Emily. She didn't defend herself. She just destroyed the truth. For a while, I tried to ignore it. I told myself silence would speak louder. But then things got worse. One afternoon, my manager called me into his office. Someone had sent an anonymous email accusing me of harassment and manipulation. The email had attachments, screenshots of messages twisted out of context. I didn't need to guess who sent them. Emily had always been clever when she wanted to be cruel. That night, I sat on the couch with my laptop open and a glass of water I didn't touch. I looked through everything, the photos, the timestamps, the receipts, even the bank records. I had enough to shut every lie down. But part of me didn't want to go there. I didn't want to become someone who spent their nights fighting lies. Still, I couldn't let her destroy me. Then I remembered something she said the day her card stopped working. My family can't afford this trip right now. At the time, it sounded like guilt. But now I realized it was fear. Her family didn't know she'd used their emergency fund credit card after I froze ours. I had the proof, an automatic statement that had been sent to our shared email address before I changed the password. There it was, clear as daylight. Hotel charges, restaurant tabs, and a rental car payment, all in her name, billed directly to her parents' card. I leaned back, staring at the screen. She had turned her entire family against me while hiding this from them. For the first time since everything started, I didn't feel angry, just disappointed. Not only in her, but in myself, forever believing she could be honest when cornered. I saved the statement to a new folder on my computer and labeled it proof, unedited. I didn't know what I was going to do with it yet. But I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going to sit back while she tore my reputation apart. If she wanted to play this game with lies, I was about to remind her what the truth really looked like. I spent that night wide awake, the glow of the computer screen reflecting off the folder I'd just named, Vacation Proof, unedited. It wasn't anger that kept me up. It was a quiet, stubborn sense of justice. Inside that folder was everything. The hotel bills with her name, the time-stamped beach photos, the card statement from Vermont to Miami, and a screen recording showing every transaction she made during the week she was supposedly taking care of her sick mother. I didn't plan to argue or defend myself anymore. Words could be twisted, evidence couldn't. By morning, I had made up my mind. This time, I didn't send the proof to her family alone. I sent it to everyone she'd lied to. Her office HR, since she'd taken paid leave for family medical reasons. Her best friend who'd called me controlling, and her family group chat. The email's subject line was simple. Truth doesn't need Photoshop. I hit send, closed the laptop, and left for a drive. The road was empty. The radio played something soft, but I barely heard it. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't second-guessing myself. 3 hours later, when I came back, my inbox was in chaos. There was an apology from her best friend. Noah, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. She said things that I didn't know. Her mother had sent a single line. We'll handle this from here. And Emily? 15 missed calls. 6 voice notes. The first one started with sobbing. The second turned angry. By the fifth, her voice cracked from screaming. By the last one, she just said quietly, You've taken everything from me. I hope you're happy. But happiness wasn't what I felt. What I felt was something colder, closure. Days passed, and the noise began to fade. Her lies collapsed under the weight of proof. People who had ghosted me started reaching out again. Her family stopped contacting me altogether. I didn't respond to any of them. I didn't brag, didn't gloat. Truth didn't need a victory lap. Weeks later, on a Friday night, I was sitting on the couch watching TV when a text popped up from an unknown number. "Hey Noah, it's Emily. I'm sorry. I know you won't answer, but I needed to say it." I stared at it for a long time, thumb hovering over the screen. Then I locked my phone and set it face down. There was nothing left to say. Outside, rain started tapping against the window. The same kind of night she'd left for that trip. Except this time, the silence wasn't heavy. It was peaceful. She'd spent weeks trying to bury the truth, but in the end, she buried her own life instead. She lost her job. HR didn't take kindly to fake medical leave. Her parents froze her access to their accounts after realizing she'd used their emergency card for a beach getaway. And the man from the photos? He disappeared the moment things went public. The final message she ever sent came 2 days later. "You win." But this wasn't about winning. It was about ending. And now, I was ready to move on, quietly, without noise, without bitterness. Just ready to let silence do what revenge never could. A few days passed before my phone buzzed again. This time, it wasn't Emily. It was her sister. The tone was different, almost careful. "She's moved back in with Mom," the message read. "She's not doing great, but maybe it's for the best." I read it twice before typing a short reply. "I hope she finds peace." And I meant it. I didn't want her to suffer. I just wanted the storm to end. It's strange how betrayal changes what you notice. For weeks, I'd been living in constant noise, calls and messages. Now, the quiet felt like air returning to a room that had been sealed too long. 6 months later, I'd sold the house. I moved to a smaller city, closer to the kind of calm I hadn't felt in years. I adopted a dog, a quiet rescue with big brown eyes who followed me everywhere. He didn't care about my past. He just wanted company, and maybe that was exactly what I needed. I started therapy around that time. Not because I was broken, but because I didn't want to carry the bitterness into whatever came next. My therapist said something that stuck with me. Asterisk, forgiveness doesn't mean she was right. It means you're done being her witness. Asterisk. Sometimes, when I walk my dog by the lake, I think about that beach photo, the one that started everything. Not because it still hurts, but because it reminds me of how calm I stayed when I could have done something reckless. Revenge, I've learned, isn't about noise or destruction. It's about restraint. It's evidence and patience. It's letting the truth do what anger never could. Emily's story faded eventually. People moved on. Those who once doubted me came around when the full picture surfaced, quietly, through whispers and hindsight. I never explained or defended myself. I just kept living. Some nights, I'd get messages from old friends asking if I'd ever talk to her again. I never did. Not out of hatred, just out of self-respect. She'd crossed a line you can't uncross. Not with apologies, not with time. The last thing I ever heard about her was from her sister again, a short text that came out of nowhere. "She's been quiet lately. Stopped using social media. Said she's trying to start over." I stared at the message for a while, then replied, "Good. Maybe this time, she'll live honestly." And that was it. The final thread. Looking back, I realized betrayal doesn't just destroy relationships. It reveals who people are when the mask slips. It showed me who Emily truly was. But it also showed me something about myself, that even when I was hurt, I didn't lose my sense of control. Sometimes, people think revenge has to be loud, dramatic, or cruel. But I think the most powerful revenge is peace, the kind that leaves the other person with their own guilt, their own conscience. She said she was visiting her sick mother. But in the end, the only thing that got sick was her own conscience. I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.